Welcome back to Wesley the Writer. I'm Wesley, and today's episode is part 3 of my interview with Elder Theresa Ratliff of Ministry in Christ Church. We continue our talk with a discussion on another hot button topic that affects the believer and non believer alike. Remember to leave a comment sharing your thoughts on the conversation, as your input is very much encouraged. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit.
Alrighty.
I wanted to bring up some controversy. Uh-oh. Not in the, it's a lot of things going on in the world, we know. And, one of the best things that we have going for us is that we can separate that from what we have going on in our lives, and we can better deal with our families rather than just constantly being glued to the TV or to the smartphones today.
Right.
Well, I wanted to bring up the equality fight. There are a lot of places now who have this DEI initiative. It's a diversity, inclusion, equity, inclusion. That's right. Diversity, equity, inclusion agenda that aims itself at bringing in everybody into the conversation. So all of the fringe groups, all of the minorities, all of the thoughts and processes, stuff like that. Anybody who's anybody who feels like they have either been underrepresented or has been affected by a systemic, system or a systemic issue or whatever, they can have preferential treatment in institutions. And that's basically what that means. So, first hires, hiring initiatives that set forth guidelines to hire only people of color for certain, filling quotas for women and things. The conservative mindset has been really focused on the fact that it seems to benefit everyone but white people, particularly white males. And that's because of the history with slavery and stuff like that in the country before all of this stuff. I disagree with that. I think I've made a point of disagreeing with the whole initiative in previous conversations that I've had. But the reason that I disagree with it is because it excludes a person. It excludes a group of people already out the bat from something that isn't relevant, I feel, today. Yeah, and so I feel like the DEI initiative excludes a group, and that's the reason why it's not effective or an effective method at actually treating a so-called systemic issue. But I wanted to get your opinion on this. Do you feel like the world's fight for equality affects the modern believer? In the sense that, do you feel as though what they have going on with hiring initiatives and things like that? I know that because we're considered, black or African American, that we get preferential treatment when it comes to certain programs, especially for low income. And I know that the welfare system and all of that has been a quote unquote benefit to African Americans on paper. But I don't know how in touch with the world's issues you are with like things like that. But I just wanted to get your perspective because I thought that it would be interesting to kind of, just pivot the conversation and get a woman's perspective on this particular issue.
Um, the first thought that came to mind was we're in the world, but we're not of this world. We're here in this. And I know on this hand, a lot of people may say, and these could be believers, saying this does affect us. This affects us too because we have children coming up and they're saying, well, you can't have this, but you can have this. On the other side, you can have it, or you can stand here and you can't stand here. And on this side, you have more believers saying that doesn't affect me at all because like we just said, we're in the world but we're not of this world. He has separated us. I believe
Yeah.
he has separated us, and he gave us the authority to pray for what's going on in the world. We can pray for them, but we don't have to dig our hands all in it and just debate about it. You ever seen people just debating about
Oh,
certain?
yes.
Yeah.
Plenty of times.
You debating. No, that's not what he called us to do. He called us to be he called us to walk in peace, and walk in love. So he called us also to just pray for the situation, and we know even the word tells us he can change the king's heart. He can change. He has that power to do so.
Right.
That power is not in man's hand. That power is in God's hand. He can do anything that he desires to do. So that's how I feel about it. I don't, like you said, I don't associate myself with those things of the world, because we're set apart for the
Right.
master's use, and when you begin to get entangled with those things, that's fleshly, and we're in the spirit. We're in a different world. We have a different mindset, a spiritual mindset. So we do things according to the will of God, and we don't get entangled with that because we know the outcome of that. But we do pray for the situation because we know God can change any situation.
Of course. Yeah, I think the reason why I'm so invested in that topic right now is just because of everything that has been going on with the changing of the markets, the way how people are reacting to certain groups.
Right.
And I feel like also that oh you get okay. No, I feel like also people are losing the fact that we are all still believers, those who call themselves believers. I know that we don't really have that issue a lot in the church, but there are cases, and I know that there are people who believe one thing or another. But for what we have all been called for, going forth throughout the land, preaching, teaching, baptizing in the name of the Father, Son, and blessed Holy Spirit, when we do that, we have to do that for everyone.
Right.
We can't just do that for one particular group.
Exactly.
And when we do that, and we call ourselves
Wow.
helping and healing people,
Yeah.
we have to be able to say that this person is my brother or this person is my sister without looking at the skin color.
Exactly.
Without saying, oh, this person is poor or that person is rich or that person blah blah blah. And you get a lot of that from people still. From what I've noticed in my own personal life, you get a lot of people who do a little side eye.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you doing here? We can't be like that.
Right.
And it's just one of those things that I know that I have recently, over the last year or so, been more politically charged than anything. And I feel like that's just par for the course when it comes to, the common discourse amongst the, I'm a young guy. I follow the news, here and there. But then I also just notice trends in people. And then I think about it in terms of, okay, we're raising up the kids to come after us.
Right.
What kind of world are they going to be exposed to? What kind of messages should we be talking to them about? I know from my generation, we didn't experience slavery. We didn't experience, prejudice to that degree. You have people, and that's another thing too. You have people who have their disposition. Kids, we're recording. No, it's okay. We can always edit that. That's why I'm at,
You okay?
a little bit of it will come across.
Funny.
Yeah, but that's all right. Where was I? I'm gonna do that every time. But yeah, I feel like it's all just par for the course. Being young and being a part of the culture, and that's all it really is. I feel is just being a part of the culture. You have a lot of influences that you're being subjected to. Another one of those things too is influences like you watch TV, you watch a movie, you're seeing more representation coming from a lot of these films and stuff, and people are not responding the way that other corporations are hoping that they're getting the proper responses, things like that. I know that again the fight's different for the world than it is for the believer, and I think the distinction between the two was one of the more important lessons that I had to learn, because I was equating the world's issues
Mm-hmm.
with things that we are concerning ourselves with in the spirit, and trying to understand the world, but there's no understanding the world. Just let
Yeah.
from what I've gained over these short amount of years I've been here,
Mm-hmm.
let the world do its thing.
Right.
It's going to do its thing.
Yeah.
But for us, we have the calling to go out and do what we need to do.
Exactly. Right.
And that's really the conclusion that I came up with when it came to all of the initiative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I do make sure that I watch behind my children,
Exactly.
because there are a lot of messages that my children
Mm-hmm.
don't need to be
That's
subjected
right.
to,
Yeah.
you know.
I
But
agree.
I think again, all of that just comes with the territory.
Mm-hmm.
Being a young parent, it's interesting to watch your child grow in a world that's so toxic.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna straight up call it toxic,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of situations where people aren't focusing on their own children, even and that's what breeds a society of degeneracy. When you have people who don't have a place or a home, that they can call their own, and they don't have morals that they can stick to that
Mm-hmm.
align with the good that has been done.
Right.
Forget the bad. The bad happens,
Yeah.
And in the moment, yeah, you can feel your emotions, but we have to be able to move past that, because if we can't, if I can't forgive someone for slavery, right,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been 200 years or something like that now, what does that mean for our society? There
Exactly.
can be no peace,
Right.
and if we're going to continue to bring up issues of the past like that, and then just to alienate a group of people because their ancestor or their ancestor's ancestor did something over in England like 600 years ago,
Right.
and it doesn't, it does not register, and it should not register.
Hmm.
Move on.
Exactly.
Move on.
That's true. And that just goes back to they have no, knowledge of the truth. They have no knowledge of the truth, and you know, we can go back to the word all day long concerning the things. It's nothing new under the sun. Everything that's written in the word is still happening today. And that forgiveness. How can you expect, to come to Christ and Him to forgive you if you holding grudges against everybody else because of what they did to your ancestors, what they did to your grandmother? Forgive, come to Christ, and he'll help you in the process. If you're struggling with forgiveness, He will help you in that process to forgive.
Right. And then, yeah, that really is what it is
Yeah.
forgiveness. Um, if we can't forgive our fellow believer, if just our fellow human,
Right.
if we can't forgive each other for things that occurred long before we even existed, long before we were alive,
Right.
then there's just no point. It'll just
Yeah.
devolve, and it'll keep devolving, and then before you know it, the trouble will come, the famine will come, everything will come. And I know
Right.
that the word speaks on those things, but again, for the church and for the believer, it's important to understand that we gotta let that go.
Right. And I've even heard people, in churches and say, "Oh, I can't stand this person. Oh, I can't be around them. Oh, I hate them because of this and because of that." They have no clue. They don't even know they're speaking what, how do you say it?
Damnation,
Damnation.
right?
Over they're speaking that over their lives, and they have no clue because their mind is blinded,
Right.
you know.
We are steadily growing here at Wesley the Writer. If you would like to help out, you can do so by liking, subscribing, and checking the notification button wherever applicable. Thank you for your kind words and encouragements, and I will see you all in the next episode.